The Qur'an is unapproachable as regards to convincing, power, eloquence, and even composition. Page 8 of the new researches by H. Hirschfeld. Page 9 says, and to it was also indirectly the marvelous development of all branches of science in the Muslim world. And Dr. Steingass, in his Dictionary of Islam, Art Quran, says, here, therefore, its merits as a literary production should perhaps not be measured by some preconceived maxims of subjective and aesthetic taste, but by the effects which it produced in Muhammad's contemporaries and fellow countrymen. If it spoke so powerfully and convincingly to the hearts of his hearers as dwelled hitherto centrifugal and antagonistic elements into one compact and well-organized body, animated by ideas far beyond those which had until now ruled the Arabian mind, then its eloquence was perfect simply because it created a civilized nation out of savage tribes and shot a fresh woof into the old warp of history. Two other unique characteristics. The marvelous effect produced by the Holy Qur'an on the minds of those who first came into contact with it, the unparalleled revolution brought about in the world, the uplift of not one but many nations from the depth of degradation to the height of civilization. That is, however, not the only characteristic which establishes its claim to uniqueness. It possesses two other characteristics equally unique: the wealth of ideas and the beauty of style, and these two combined with the effect it produced are three things which raise the Quran to an eminence to which no other book has ever aspired, and which make an imitation of it impossible. In fact, the effect produced by the Holy Quran is not a magical mystery. It was merely the greatness and reasonableness of the ideas clothed in the best of forms that appealed to the heart of man, and, taking deep root in it, became the driving power to the great goal of life. A blaze of light was cast on all great questions which had hitherto puzzled man, and the way was thus cleared for onward march and progress. Hence it is that one of the names by which the Holy Book speaks of itself is Al-Burhan, or the clear argument, showing that argument was the weapon which it used to conquer the heart of man, and as it appealed to reason and not to sentiment, its conquests were so far-reaching and permanent that it swept away all mysteries and dispelled all darknesses. It dispelled, as far as it took on, it's dispelled darkness, but it appeals to sentiment, but it's mainly, going beyond that is, I think, the point. It is also called al-Bayan, or explanation, indicating that it had removed all obscurities in religious problems. It claimed not only to have perfected religion, Surah 5:8-3, and thus to have stated all religious truths needed for the moral and spiritual advancement of man, but also to have dealt with all objections to its truth. And they shall not bring to thee any argument, but we have brought to thee one with truth and best in explanation. 25:33. Style and diction. A few more words on the outer garb in which the grand, life-giving ideas of Al-Quran are clothed, and I shall have done with this subject. The style and diction of the Quran have been universally praised. In their introduction to his translation of the Holy Quran, Sale says, the Quran is universally allowed to be written with the utmost elegance and purity of language in the dialect of the tribe of the Quraysh, the most notable and polite of all the Arabians, but with some mixture, although very rare, of other dialects. It is confessedly the standard of the Arabic tongue. And again, the style of the Qur'an is generally beautiful and fluent, and in many places, especially where the majesty and attributes of God are described, sublime and magnificent. What, however, establishes the Qur'an's claim to uniqueness even in the outward form, apart from its subject and the effect produced, is the permanent hold that it has kept on the Arabian language itself, the fact that it remains forever the standard by which beauty of style and diction may be judged in Arabic literature. No other book in the world can be credited with even the achievement of keeping alive a language for 13 centuries. The Qur'an has done this, attaining to the eminence of being the standard of eloquence for so long, and of retaining that position while the nations speaking it emerged from oblivion to become the leader of civilization in the world, leaving its home to settle in far distant lands where Arabic became either the spoken language of the masses or at least their literary language. Such is the incredible achievement of the Holy Qur'an. It is true that the Arabs had a literary language before Al-Qur'an, the language of poetry, which, notwithstanding slight dialectic differences, conformed to one standard. But, well, there are different forms of poetry, of course, and whatnot too. But the scope of that poetry was very limited. Their most eloquent themes rarely went beyond the praise of wine or women, and horse or sword. In the condition in which Arabic was before the advent of Islam, it would soon have shared the fate of the sister languages of the Semitic group. It was the Qur'an which made it the language of a civilized world, from the Oxus to the Atlantic. Whatever changes spoken Arabic, like any other language, may have undergone, literary Arabic is to this day the Arabic of the Qur'an, and the Qur'an remains its one masterpiece. Now, even if we go back and look at the earlier King James versions of the Bible, not only is the King James Version Bible not really quite the way we speak, 4 centuries later, but it's also, there are some words that, while they've maintained the same meaning, they're said different.